So Kendrick Lamar had an interview with SZA for Bazaar magazine. Very dope conversation between the two, where Kendrick discussed his approach to music, his spirituality, his inspiration, what inspires him to do what he does, and what the song "Not Like Us" means and means to him. Very dope conversation, very dope interview, and I'm gonna discuss some of the highlights. What some of the highlights were to me. Let's get into it. So Kendrick Lamar and SZA had an interview with Bazaar magazine where SZA was interviewing Kendrick about a lot of things. One of the things that stood out to me right away was her first statement and question was about them shooting a movie, or she shot a movie with Cat Williams. I'm wondering if that's the comedy that Kendrick is working on for this summer that is with the creators of South Park. If Cat Williams is in that, that's gonna be crazy. Kendrick definitely right now is on fire and can't miss, it seems like. But let's get into this interview a little bit more. Now, I think if you're an artist, right, I think this is definitely an interview you should read because both he and SZA give some great insight to what it takes to be a very successful artist, the way they are, and create art from a real place. This interview is packed with a lot of good information and good nuggets for artists to take away from it and to, I guess, incorporate it into their approach to their art. One of the questions I really liked was when she asked him, what do you want for yourself now? What is your driving force? Do you feel like you've done it all? Do you feel like now it's all for the plot? Is the plot you? Is further self-discovery the plot? Is it domination? You like what is your approach? And Kendrick's response to that was, it's funny, he was asking himself that question this morning, and he says, I get fulfilled sharing my experiences with the youth and allowing them to hear these stories and hear these experiences and catch up to them. So to actually answer the question, it's communication just with people in general, and I feel like my work in music is just a start. I don't think it's the end goal. I know it's not my end goal. Music is just a vessel to get me there. And then she asked him, do you have an idea of what you're supposed to do? And he says, I don't, I'm curious, and that's what keeps me energized. And then she asks, do you even have a desire specifically of what it should be, or are you gonna let God shape it for you? And he says, I'm gonna let God shape it. I love the mystery of it. I have to have it. I have to, the chase of it all. And to me, that is the key to why Kendrick is so prolific at his art, is that he's chasing so many things, you know what I mean? But mostly just information to communicate and relay to the masses. He's not chasing a lifestyle. He's not chasing an image. He's not chasing a specific sound, you know, that's hot at the time. And I think that's the big difference you see between him and the other artists that are at the top of hip hop, right? And I think when you look at the most effective artists in hip hop history, they have that kind of shared goal of just really sharing not only their story, but their perspective with the youth especially, but with the world in general. And I think that's something he definitely shares in common with Tupac. Maybe that's what he got from Tupac and Tupac's approach to his music. And that's why the comparison and the influence is so strong. And in him sharing some of the principles and his thought processes and what's important to him in this interview, without saying it totally directly, he also explains why the battle took the turn that it did and his approach to battling in general. Now, of course, she did ask him about Not Like Us in specifically. She didn't ask him so much about the whole battle, but or how he feels about Drake. But she did ask him about Not Like Us. Let's get into that. But before we get all the way into that, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to hit that like button for me. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button for me. Now let's get into this info about Not Like Us. So she asked him, can I ask you a hypermasculine question? You can tell me to shut the F up, but what does Not Like Us mean to you? And then Kendrick laughs and says, Not Like Us is the energy of who I am, the type of man I represent. Now, if you identify with the man I represent, then SZA interrupts and says, break the man down for me. And then Kendrick says his response is, this man has morals, he has values, he believes in something, he stands on something, he's not pandering. Now, those people see those as shots, but it's not so much shots, it's really an observation. Sorry about the ring doorbell there. But he continues, he's a man who can recognize his mistakes and not be afraid to share the mistakes, and can dig deep down into fear-based ideologies or experiences to be able to express them without feeling like he's less of a man. I'm thinking of not like us, I'm thinking of me and whoever identifies with that. And in a nutshell, that to me explains Kendrick's music and his approach to it. Outside of the battle, that's what he does, is he really reveals himself. He really talks about his experiences and tries to relate them to the audience. And Not Like Us is that as well. If you come from where he comes from, right? Where a lot of us come from, which is the real hood and not an imitation of such, you understand the differences between you and people who grew up in other environments. Not that it's better or worse, but it's just different, right? And pop culture has kind of taken that experience and bastardized it a little bit, or a lot of it actually. And I think that's what we're seeing as far as the transition in hip hop is. We need people to be a little bit more authentic to their experience and not try to mimic what they think they should be in order to be hip hop and be a hip hop artist. You don't have to be from the inner city or be from a real dangerous hood area in the United States to be a hip hop artist. A lot of the hip hop artists are not really that because they just glorify it a little too much. And when you are really from that, when you've really been shot at and things like that, it's not a fun time, and you don't really look at that as being something that should be glorified if you have any intelligence. Now, some people don't, and they remain ignorant, and ignorance is really just lacking information. So they lack that information to understand that a destructive lifestyle is not only not necessary, but it's just not the way to go in life. So continue with the interview. SZA then asks him about sort of the perspective of people had, or she asks him a question, then he gets into the perspective of people having of him because of, I guess, the harshness of his approach during the battle. So her question was, I thought it was really interesting that there was any consensus at all that you might be an angry individual. She says, for me, I don't find that any energy that comes from you comes from an angry place. And actually the last hour and change pretty much solidifies that it's almost from a yogic monk-like place. So when you feel the surge of energy in records like that, where is that root? Is it anger? And then Kendrick responds, I don't believe I'm an angry person, but I do believe in love and war. And I believe they both need to exist. Very important. And my awareness of that allows me to react to things, but not identify with them as who I am. Just allowing them to exist and allowing them to flow through me. That's what I believe. And then SZA responds with a funny response, I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead before I say something crazy. Because of course, SZA has worked with Drake, I think a couple times, and she probably had some more in-depth questions about Kendrick and the depths that he went in the accusations, but she let it ride right there. But I think what was highlighted in this battle is the battle encapsulated a lot of people who are not really deep into hip hop, right? So understanding that a battle is not about revealing truths about somebody all the time, and it is a lot of embellishment like hip hop is in general, and it is a lot of accusations, and it is a lot of questioning things about the person that you may not know and highlighting it in the public and through the public. It's not just, so when people say, well, Drake doesn't have a daughter, okay, first of all, they are kind of standing on the fact that he does, but if he doesn't, that doesn't mean that Kendrick lost the battle. Just like Drake making up a story about Kendrick being a woman beater and beating on his wife, that, yes, it's foul to do, but that's battle rap. Like, you try to make the person look as bad as possible. I think that got lost once the battle crossed into the gossip world and into the general world of entertainment and news and media. The fact that this is in general just entertainment and it's really a war of words got lost because of what has happened in entertainment the past few years, and a lot of secrets have been revealed about the entertainment industry that a lot of people didn't know. People are taking that narrative into every big moment into entertainment. And though, again, Drake may be hiding children, he definitely has some questionable comments about young females that are underage. And to me, Kendrick highlighting that in such an artful way was enough. That was enough for him to win the battle. And the other stuff on both sides didn't necessarily have to be true, but as far as a war of words was concerned, Kendrick just did a better job at getting his point across. And that's the whole thing. So definitely check out this interview. I'm gonna have the link at the end of the video, or at the top of the video, I should say, for the interview from Bazaar magazine. So click that link if you want to check out the whole interview and read that. You should. It's a very good interview, like I said. Also, check out the video we dropped yesterday. The link will be at the end here, where we talk about the transition that I believe this battle caused as far as the end of mumble rap kind of dominating the hip hop space and the hip hop charts. Check that video out. Very good video. Hit that like button as always. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed already, hit the notification bell. Share the video, tell a friend and tell a friend. Thank y'all for watching as always, and we out.